Every American student learns the same starting point for the modern civil rights movement. On a December evening in 1955, a seamstress named Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery, Alabama bus. But there is a gap in that timeline. Exactly 9 months earlier, a 15-year-old high school student named Claudette Colvin did the same thing on the same transit system. When a bus driver demanded that she yield her seat to a white passenger, Claudette held her ground. She cited her constitutional rights as a paying passenger before she was dragged off the bus by police and thrown into an adult jail cell. Local civil rights leaders saw her as the spark they had been waiting for. She had stared down the officers, survived the arrest, and provided a clear legal opening to challenge the city's ordinances. Then the movement went quiet. The boycott was never called. Local leaders dropped her case, and Claudette's name vanished from the national press. When historians look back at why Claudette sat first, they often assume the worst. A popular conspiracy theory claims that the white-owned newspapers and local government suppressed her story to prevent a teenage rebellion. But the government didn't hide her. Her own allies did. The NAACP made a tactical decision to keep Claudette out of the spotlight. What were the strategic high stakes that forced civil rights organizers to keep their first hero in the shadows? In 1950s Montgomery, leaders like E.D. Nixon and a young Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. operated as high-level strategists. They understood that taking on segregation meant winning a national public relations war against a hostile conservative press. To win, they needed a plaintiff whose personal life offered the press zero leverage. They needed someone who could withstand a character assassination without distracting the public from the core issue of segregation. Following Claudette's arrest, the movement ran her life through a political audit. The liabilities piled up. She was a teenager. She was described as feisty. During her arrest, she had yelled and fought back against the officers. In the religious conservative climate of the 1950s South, her socioeconomic status and her subsequent teenage pregnancy were viewed as insurmountable risks to the movement's image. The NAACP concluded that if they made Claudette the face of the boycott, the opposition would focus entirely on her pregnancy. The legal battle would be lost before it even reached the courtroom. The leadership made the choice to stand down. They spent 9 months waiting for a candidate who could satisfy the rigid social standards of the era. When Rosa Parks refused to move, it wasn't a random event. It was the deployment of a meticulously chosen representative. Rosa Parks satisfied the movement's audit. She was an older, married, middle-class seamstress with a record of community service. Rosa Parks was the strategic countermeasure. She was a candidate the press couldn't easily smear, allowing the nation to focus on the injustice of the law itself. The boycott led by Parks was the public campaign, designed to apply economic pressure and win national sympathy. But there was a second, quieter war happening in the federal courts. While the boycott was highly visible, it didn't actually end bus segregation in Alabama. That legal victory came through a federal lawsuit known as Browder v. Gale. The NAACP hadn't discarded Claudette Colvin. They had quietly utilized her as one of 4 primary plaintiffs in that federal lawsuit. She took the stand in court and provided the testimony that ultimately led to the dismantling of the city's segregation laws. Rosa Parks was the image that won over the public, but Claudette Colvin was the witness that won the law. Claudette Colvin took the first hit at 15 years old, then stepped back so her community could win a larger war. History books tend to favor clean, simple narratives, with heroes who meet every social expectation. But real progress is often engineered by the vanguards who do the hardest work before the cameras arrive. Claudette Colvin wasn't a mistake. She was the brave teenager who paved the road for everyone who followed.